let's talk about birth stories. I want to share mine with you today. March 12th, 2020, the day before the world shut down. We're just gonna roll right in. Let's start the story off with saying that my water broke at the office. And they say that it never does it like it does in the movies, where it just like implodes out of your body. But that's exactly what happened to me. So my boss and I are standing in the hallway. She sees the look on my face and immediately knows what just happened. And water is coming out everywhere. There's two guys walking down the hallway that look scared to death that they just saw what happened and wanted to help. So my boss instructs them to go get towels. So they run off to some department and go find towels. They did find them and they came back. So they were very nice, but it was awkward and uncomfortable. So after I get towels stuffed down my pants as water continues gushing out of my body, then our lovely security lady comes and finds me because now we've got, like a health hazard on our hands. And so she comes and finds me and asks if we need to call the ambulance or if my husband's going to come pick me up. At this point, my boss is like, oh no, I'll drive her. And my other coworkers, they've already been notified. They're down the hallway and one of them is like, I've got one of those running blankets. I'll go grab that. We can put it in the car. We'll be good. And the security lady says, nope, that's not allowed. Only her husband or the ambulance can take her. So at this point, I'm like, okay, great. Call the ambulance because I don't know when my husband could get here. Now, I should back up a little bit and say that normally when your water breaks, you're going to be in labor for a while, so it's not really an emergency style situation. However, I knew that I needed to have a C-section. I had a scheduled C-section a week after my water broke at work because my baby was transverse breech, so she was sideways. So normal baby head down, breech baby head up, transverse breech baby sideways. She was stuck in that position. So I knew I was going to have a C-section, which meant my body was not supposed to go into natural labor, and I needed to get to the hospital as soon as possible. So I get to the ambulance, and they're like, okay, how long are part of your contractions? Let's start timing this. And I'm like, nothing. I had no contractions. Nothing was happening whatsoever, other than the fact that I was still gushing water everywhere. So we get in the ambulance and the whole ride, I'm just gushing water, gushing. Like, I don't know how I have this much water inside of me. We get to the hospital. They already hooked the IV up in me in the ambulance, and I get checked in, and immediately the nurse is, okay, how far apart are your contractions? How intense are they? Still nothing. Like, nothing's happening. We're not really in an emergency situation. I just have to have a C-section, and my water combusted at work. So here we are. So they hook me up to all the stuff. They check her heart rate. They check my contractions. Now they can see what I'm feeling. I'm not having any contractions. Her heart rate looks good. So they're like, okay, now we can calm down. We're going to have a C-section tonight because I just ate lunch when my water broke. So we needed to let that settle. And then I had a C-section at scheduled for 6:30 p.m. that night. At this point, obviously, my husband has been called. He's leaving work. He's going home, getting the hospital bag, getting everything he needs to get there. And he thinks, okay, we're going to have this baby like right now. So he goes as fast as humanly possible. I forgot to tell him that it was scheduled for that night. So he shows up pretty quickly. And then we have to sit there for like 2.5 hours. It was okay. I'm still gushing water. So anyways, we get wheeled in, we go through the C-section, he's in the whole blue getup and I'm spread open and it's a real treat. So we're in the middle of the C-section. They're layers deep, cutting me open. There's doctors, nurses, the anesthesiologist. We're in this bright room. It's really uncomfortable. And they're getting ready to pull her out. The doctor starts pulling her out. And as she's like halfway out, the doctor goes, oh, I heard a pop. I think it was her leg. Everyone's kind of silent. They're like, okay, what's wrong with her leg? She thinks she broke her leg. So they take her over to where they, measure them and weigh them right away in the surgical room. And they do a quick ultrasound on her leg. Yep, her femur bone completely broke in half. So I'm laying there, unable to do anything because I'm like basically unconscious from the bottom down. Or from the waist down, and they bring her over to me really quick so that I can see her. We do a quick like cheek to cheek moment, and then they take her with Chris, my husband, and go to the nursery to go officially x-ray her leg and see the full bone break. Meanwhile, I'm in a surgical room with a bunch of strangers and need to get sewed back together. And so I'm just there, and like the peace of God just came over me. I was like, it's fine. Like everything is going to be okay. Like it's not fine, but like I knew she was going to be okay. I knew she was going to be okay. I knew I was going to be okay. And so the nurses are around me. Everyone, you can tell the tension is high. They're nervous. They have never, ever experienced this before. So later, once I was finished being sewed up and everyone is out of surgery, they're literally calling a hospital downtown Minneapolis trying to find out what to happen, because this has never once happened in this entire hospital. They didn't know what to do with a baby with a broken leg. So I'm getting sewed back together and the nurses are all there. And like I said, you can tell the tension is high. They're like, kept asking me like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? And I just kept repeating to them, I'm okay. She's going to be okay. Everybody's fine. And then after what felt like no time at all, but was apparently hours past, I was in the room, the recovery room, and then they brought her in and I was able to actually hold her. And then my parents got to meet her and my husband's parents got to meet her. So we had a nice little moment in the room together. At this point, it's 9:30 at night. I had the C-section. She came out at 6:57. So I have no idea where that time went. It just kind of poofed. And so they get to meet her. You know, it's great. We still don't know what to do about her leg, but she's okay at the moment. And so everybody leaves. She gets to sleep in our room that night because they weren't sure what they were going to do with her yet. There was still discussions on like airlifting her to a different hospital. Like I said, they had no clue what to do. And the next morning they came in and told us a couple things. She can stay here, but she's going to be transported to the NICU so that they have better care for her, better one-on-one care for her. And they wanted to administer some pain medication for her, and they just felt like that would be a better fit in the NICU. So they moved her there, and that the hospital was shut down for COVID. So she was born Thursday night, March 12th. The country shut down Friday morning, the 13th. No visitors allowed. All of a sudden, it was like, poof, quiet, which I honestly preferred. Now, I'm in my recovery room, which I have to stay in for 3 nights because I just had a C-section and you're recovering from major surgery. She's in the NICU, which is down the hall. And so I was able to visit her as much as I wanted to. And so for the first day or so, I was wheelchaired over there because I couldn't walk yet. And then after I was able to walk, then I was able to take walks over there and see her. She was only there for 5 nights. And so I just feel for the NICU mamas that are there for weeks, months. Like I just can't fathom that because 5 days was hard enough as it was. And she had some highs and lows with, you know, pain management, but overall she was doing okay. Breastfeeding was a real challenge. That's going to be a story for another day because I couldn't hold her, you know, half her body. I couldn't touch it so that her leg would heal. We were told that we were going to discharge after our 5 nights in the NICU and go to the hospital downtown to be fitted for a pelvic harness, which they normally use for hip dysplasia, which is pretty usual in babies. They don't have anything specifically for a femur break because it's not normal. And it just kind of helped her stay in one position. Long story short, her leg was completely healed within 4 weeks. It's completely insane. Babies are so amazing and heal so fast. God's design is not by accident, and we got to watch a little miracle happen. And now she is over 2.5, running around like crazy. It's like nothing ever happened. So that's our birth story. Thanks for watching.